Most people don't expect to see dozens of goats hard at work on a golf course, but right here in Calvert County, they are. I'm Patti Stueckler, and today I'm at Mellomar Golf Park in Owings, Maryland with owner Doc Grace, and I'm also here with Mary Bowen, owner of Browsing Green Goats. Mary's goats clear overgrown land the natural way. No herbicides, no heavy machinery. Just goats doing what they do best. And it turns out that's not only good for the course, it's good for our environment and maybe even for our health. This series is all about people and ideas that make Calvert County special. Now, I'll be honest, I don't fully know how this all works yet, and I'll be learning a lot just like you. Let's learn it together. Okay, so, Mary, I have to ask the question, why goats? How did this business idea start? Where'd that come from?
It started back in probably around 2005, 2006. I saw all the wildfires happening out in California, and they were using goats as fire breaks to be able to help prevent the fires from happening. The goats would go in, clean up an area, and it would stop the fires from going further. And I thought, I already have the goats. I love this idea, but what is so important here in Southern Maryland? Our waterways. We have Chesapeake Bay on one side, we have the Patuxent River on the other side. What happens to it? All the herbicides. And I happened to be taking a course at the University of Maryland on the Eastern Shore at that time, and the professor that was teaching the course asked me, he said, how many goats do you have? And I kind of looked at him and I said, well, about 75. And he said,
wow.
Well, I was the professor at Langston University, and we did research using the goats to clean up vegetation. If I mentor you, would you start the business? And I thought, as long as I have a mentor that knows what they're doing, I'll follow everything that you tell me to do. And it took off, and it wasn't long after that, about a year, things were just kind of getting started. I was just, learning how you set up fence, how much fence to do in an area, how many goats needed to be in a particular area. And I was walking across our property one day, and I look up, and there's this man standing by our garage, and I thought, that's odd. Never met this gentleman before. And it was Doc. And he said, you're Mary Bowen, I need to talk to you. Okay. And that's how I, 16 years later, have ended up at the golf course.
So Doc, how did that happen? Did you hear about Mary and what she and her goats?
Before I was introduced to Mary, through Mary's reputation, my daughter was going to the private college in Georgia studying environmental science. I was trying to discourage that and get her to study nursing, or some place that would offer a lot of possibilities as far as her employment. My daughter overheard a conversation between my wife and I that centered around purchasing a bunch of herbicide to spray the foliage in the woods where our golfers were losing their ball. These golfers did not have very much control over where their ball went, and they still don't. But my daughter intercepted this conversation between my wife and I, and she said, Dad, you don't want to use herbicides to kill the weeds. What you want to think about is grazing it with goats and let the goats take care of the vegetation. Enter Mary Bowen. I was there visiting her initially to buy goats. I think I bought 3 or 4 goats initially from Mary. I fenced in this little area, and I was in a new adventure. I had an opportunity to meet Mary by happen chance in Walmart about a week after I had purchased the goats. Of course, Mary asked me, how are the goats doing? And I said, Mary, there's something wrong with those goats. And Mary insisted, Doc, they were fine last week or a couple weeks ago when you bought them. What's the matter with them? I said, they are not eating enough to make an impression on what I want them to eat. So we yucked that up. A couple days later, Mary calls me up and she says, I've got an idea. What do you think about it? I said, let's hear it, Mary. Mary says, I've got 30 or 40 goats at my farm. They are eating me out of house and home. How about if I bring 30 or 40 goats and put them with the goats that you bought with me? You've already got your goats fenced in. I can be there as early as tomorrow with a livestock trailer full of goats. That was very exciting. Mary brought the goats on a Friday afternoon. We turned them in with the ones that I had purchased from Mary. I was very excited, so I got back up here the next morning at daylight to see if there was any measurable difference in what had gotten eaten during the night. I could not believe my eyes. They had defoliated this area practically overnight.
Wow.
And it just took off from there.
Did you already know that, like, why did that happen, that there was only 3? Was it just that the 3 were too small a number and they just wasn't eating enough, or is there some kind of other variables in there as far as having so many and why they would just get in there and
The
go to
3
town?
wasn't enough. The area that he wanted to work on, and I'm sorry, Doc, I still don't remember the number of the hole. It's way over that direction.
It was
And-
between the driving range. The driving range customers were hitting balls in the woods. The wooded area where we initially put the goats was between the driving range and the number 9 hole.
That's it.
Number 9 was getting filled up with golf balls from errant shots. And within, I think that we had them there for about 10 days or something like that. But it made it so much more accessible for the golfer to go in and find his ball or somebody else's ball and throw it out in the driving or throw it out in the fairway and continue playing. You can obtain a horrible reputation if golfers feel like they're losing too many balls at your golf course. And that was the general consensus before goats. After the goats would clean out an area, it made it much simpler for them to go there and collect their ball, and they didn't lose their ball.
So how do you, with the goats, especially with 35 goats, how do you manage that with the golfers? Do you do that at night? How do you do it, sections?
Do it in small sections at a time, wherever he determines that he needs them the most.
And
then-
it's worked out. I mean,
So you just rotate them, and it's on the perimeter, so it's not on.
it's
Right.
not on the actual
Actual
golf
course.
course.
Right.
It has been very, very cost effective from a financial standpoint.
So it's cheaper than buying the herbicides anyway.
Yes, and not to mention the difference in the safety of the Patuxent and the creek that runs through the farm and that sort of thing.
So I bet your daughter was super happy.
Well, I'm giving her credit. I'm certainly giving her all the credit for this.
I was reading the other day that Iowa has the highest amount of cancer, highest population of people with cancer. And there are some studies that attribute that to herbicides and other pesticides and so forth. Is that do you think that is the case? Do you know anything about like what that link is or might be in any, like the dangers
Well,
to
I
health?
know in California they have had cases, and the courts have ruled in favor of the people that have ended up with cancer because that was their profession. to apply herbicides, and they got lymphoma. So the courts ruled in their favor that
So
that's where it was coming from. And fortunately, I've not, had a career that I used it, but and that was one of the reasons I wanted to be able to give people the option. What else can you do to clean up an area without having to spray it with herbicides? Because they can't prove how long it's still in the environment. They claim that, it's only a couple months, but they're not able to actually prove that, years from now it's still there. I know that I won't put the goats or the sheep on an area that has been sprayed because I really don't know. I don't.
So do you have you take the goats to other businesses or other
Yep. I'm
homeowners?
busy from April through November every year. They're not home on the farm except for during the winter. I have jobs as far as 2 hours away in Virginia, and I take care of all of Maryland.
Wow. So sounds like a great business model, and it's
It
great
is.
for the environment, great for our health. Certainly,
Keeps me active and outside.
yeah. It's wonderful. So what have some questions I have also for you guys are, do the goats have names?
They do.
All of them?
All of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, okay, I didn't expect that answer.
Yep.
Any of them named Billy by any chance?
No Billy.
No Billy.
Yeah, no.
Do you have like one that you consider the smartest?
Igor. Yeah.
Igor?
And then I have Arlo. Those two are buddies.
And they do they kind of lead the others?
They do. Yeah, you can always tell there's a pack leader, and that one, the whole herd will make sure they follow that one. Especially when one of the reasons that Doc had him in this area was to get up high and so that he could find what he wanted to be able to clear out. And the goats will stand up on their hind legs, pull down. So that's what he's going to be doing right here in this area as well. They'll get up and start to pull down the things that are climbing up his cables. Yeah.
Neat. And what do the golfers think?
The golfers are mesmerized. We've always tried to appeal to families here and make it this as family friendly as we possibly can. But the number of fathers and mothers that are out playing golf with their children, as soon as they discover the goats, they pause and start taking pictures of their kids with the goats. And it happens every day. And it's really just another aspect of being family friendly. But they are usually very, very shocked at goats are doing the work that chemicals would ordinarily do.
Or machinery.
Or machinery. And it's working out quite well for us. We're very satisfied with this arrangement.
Well,
I think one of the things that has been appealing is when our grandson came to camp last year, some of the families hadn't been golfing here, but they were bringing their child to camp. And my grandson started telling people, "Oh, I come here all the time with my grandma." "Your grandma golfs?" "No, grandma doesn't pick up any golf clubs, but she has her goats here. And the man's name is Mr. Doc, and I'm his friend." "Well, what are your goats doing here?" So then Henry will tell the story, and then families realize that their children aren't running through all those herbicides when they're here at camp either. And that's a plus that they find out because they don't know in advance. And during that week that Henry was here last year, and I know he'll do it again next week when he's here at camp, he'll tell people, "Oh, those are my grandma's goats, and Mr. Doc has them here on the course."
have you had any surprises to this whole arrangement?
I, for one, am surprised that the goats and the golf course are as compatible as they are. They don't really interfere at all with the playing of the game, and they certainly offer a feature that not many other golf courses subscribe to yet. I feel confident that in the future, because golf courses everywhere have trouble with overgrown areas that they just don't want to control or can't afford to control. And if anything, I'm surprised at how compatible the golf course is with the goats being here.
And you've been doing this for 16 years. So in 16 years, there hasn't been more publicity about doing this as a way
The
to control
Washington
vegetation?
Post did an article that they picked up from a local newspaper, got wind of this arrangement several years ago, and the Post picked it up, and they did a feature article on the golf course with the goats and that sort of thing. That's been several years ago.
But Doc, one of the holes that we took care of was the one way out there. What hole is that?
That's number 6.
Number 6. And what I want to tell you about that is he was having a fungus problem out on that hole. And we put the goats all on the outskirt, probably about a 30-foot wide area, something like that. I don't remember. It was so long ago now. And it dried the fungus up because it allowed the air to circulate. And that, because of that, I'm able to tell people when we go to their property, you're going to notice that the mosquito population will be less because the air will be circulating and you will not have all that wetness on your property that you have. So that hole taught me a lot 16 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
So just another added benefit.
Yeah, just another added benefit. And soon as the goats are cleared out, people can definitely feel that airflow on their property.
Some days that's a good thing, and on a day like today, it's not necessarily a good thing.
Well, today is definitely with 100 degrees. Yeah, it's, oh my goodness, it's quite the heat wave.
But this has certainly been a win-win situation as far as I'm concerned. I hope Mary feels the same way.
I think so. Well, I'm hoping that this information, it needs to get out there. People need to know what you're doing. Other golf courses can also, look you up and find out how to do it. And sounds like it's more economical. And then it's so much better for the environment, so much better for people's health.
Yes.
I mean, it's just a no-brainer, really.
Well, I've always thought it was a no-brainer until 2014 when there was a gentleman on the buffer in Chesapeake Beach that he wanted to hire the goats, and the county said no because he was in the buffer. They wanted him to spray herbicides and he refused. He said, absolutely not.
Wow.
I want to hire the goats. I am not spraying. We ended up having to take it to Annapolis to appeal it because the county kept saying that they would go along with him spraying herbicides in the buffer but not utilize the goats. They were worried about the manure in the buffer.
Instead of
and
actual
I gave
chemicals.
them information from Cornell University that could prove that the manure was not going to be the problem, but the herbicides was going to be the problem. And so we ended up finally getting them in Annapolis to see the point of what we were doing. And hole number 6 was one of the things that I could point out to them that the reason that the goats are here is because it's targeted grazing. They're here and they're gone. They do not become a permanent fixture anywhere. They're here.
They do their job.
They do their job and then
they
they're
leave.
gone. So it's no different than having deer run through here. It was an amazing job that they did there in Chesapeake Beach. When they got finished, all the kudzu was gone, and he could identify where the crown to the different runners of the kudzu, and he could address it with the county foresters. But until then, they couldn't address it because they had no idea where any of it came from. It was just, the whole hillside was completely overgrown with the kudzu.
That's amazing. And will they eat things like poison ivy?
Oh, they love
poison ivy.
Oh, really?
They love multiflora rose, which has a lot of thorns on it. The thornier, nastier,
the better.
the better. I mean, they seem to relish it. And it's fascinating to me to sit and watch them. and they have this selectivity about them where they prefer some things and target that first, and then a few days later they'll go to a different plant and do that, but they're somewhat selective when you have so much of it. They've got their favorites.
Well, you think about yourself when you're eating dinner and you have a plate of
Yes.
food. What do
That's
you eat
right.
first? I usually eat my vegetables first just to get them out of the way. And then I go to the meat and potatoes and whatever
Well,
else.
I'll go to the dessert first. I like going to the dessert first.
Well, this has been wonderful. I really, really thank you. Is there anything else that I didn't ask that you want mentioned that you can think of? It's just such a fascinating thing. And it's great to see two business owners that are really putting innovative ideas together to help not only your businesses, but also the environment and ultimately people's
It's
health.
mutually beneficial for me, especially, and for Mary.
Yeah, it's
And-
wonderful.
Yeah, it's been a great experience being able to come here. I've watched, over the years of where the goats have been, how it transforms from one year to the next. One year, what vegetation comes back. That area, what vegetation comes back, what doesn't come back. So it's been a really good experiment here at the golf course because there's so many areas that we clear. We're able to monitor what comes back and what doesn't come back.
Wow.
At one time, several years ago, I had the thought of approaching the assessment office here in the county. And so I went down there, I forgot the man's name. And I told him that I wanted to inquire about getting a portion of the golf course rezoned agricultural to reduce my real estate taxes. And he said, well, tell me about it. And so I started to explain that we have got a number of areas that total, if we were to combine it all, it'd be about 20 acres that we place the goats, and that is really agricultural. We have got several other places on the golf course where I had a neighbor harvest hay off of it, and we would accumulate these bales of hay to feed them during the winter and get that considered agricultural. And it reduced he didn't believe I had 60 goats here. And he said, we're going to have to verify this information. So I invited him up here, and the goats all came to us and lined up, and he counted. And he says, I'm not going to count them individually, but I'm sure you've got at least 60 goats here. Based on that, he says, I think you're correct that you've converted this from golf course, which is non-conventional something or other, to agricultural. It reduced my real estate taxes by 30%.
Wow.
And
That's wonderful.
that was a wonderful consideration, the benefit that I got.
Yes.
And it's just been win-win.
When you call them, they'll come?
They do.
Like cattle?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a niece and nephew, and they're in Iowa, and it's the funniest thing ever. My niece's husband will call the cattle. They just start all of a sudden out of nowhere. You see this herd coming at you. So I guess the same thing, huh?
Yeah. Yes.
That's interesting. Very cool. Very exciting. Well,
It
thank
is
you
very
so
exciting.
much, both of you. It was a pleasure to meet you, Doc, and pleasure to meet you, Mary.
It was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you for coming out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Patti, thank you.
All right. Good to meet you.
Good to be met.
I guess the same thing.